Hi everybody, my name is Brandy Potter and today we are going to talk about developing your author marketing plan. So what is a marketing plan? Well, according to businessdictionary.com, a marketing plan is a product specific, market specific, or company wide plan that describes activities involved in achieving specific marketing objectives within a set time frame. A market plan begins with the identification, through market research, of specific customer needs and how the firm intends to fulfill them while generating an acceptable level of return. It generally includes analysis of the current market situation, opportunities and trends, and detailed action programs, budgets, sales forecasts, strategies, and projected pro forma financial statements.
Wait, what?
So, in the simplest of terms, an author's marketing plan is how you are going to beat the competition and sell your book within a specific time frame.
Check. Night.
For the rest of that definition, we're going to take the rest of the presentation and break that down into 5 simple steps that you can use to meet those needs.
Let's start at the very beginning.
In the beginning, authors were all self-published. Then the business world said, let there be publishers, and those publishers will control the marketing. Not anymore. The trend is returning to self-publishing because as the internet makes the world smaller, it increases the possibility for readers to hear about new authors and genres. Even erotica became more mainstream with the entrance of 50 Shades of Grey. My erotica writing friends and BDSM buddies are all clamoring to choke me.
Oh no, not again.
But I digress. The first thing you need to do is set goals for you and for your book. Every single one of us says to ourselves, I'm going to be the next J.K. Rowling with my very first book in the very first week.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, My Little Pony, that wasn't very nice. The standard for goal setting is currently what are called SMART goals. This can be an entire presentation in itself, but I'm going to try to break this down in as simple pieces as I can using my overly extensive human resources background. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. You have to be specific about what you are trying to achieve. Are you trying to snatch the entire market? Because that's a rather lofty goal. Or are you trying to achieve smaller goals that will lead to a bigger picture? You also have to set a measurable goal. For example, I want to sell 25 books. The goal has to be achievable. We can all hope to put our books out there and have them take off and become the #1 book in the world, but that isn't achievable. Neither is writing a 300,000 word book in a day. Outcomes also have to be realistic. I would settle for making enough money to stop working, but owning most of the town the way Nora Roberts does is a pipe dream. Finally, there has to be a time limit to the goal. The aforementioned 25 books could be in the first week. So, I want to be the next J.K. Rowling is not a SMART goal. However, I want to sell 25 copies of my book in the first 2 weeks of publishing is. The very next step is to know your competition. The first question you need to ask yourself is what books are selling the best? I am currently working in a paranormal romance novel genre. So I'm going to take this genre and analyze it from back when I decided I was going to jump into paranormal romance. Like it or not, the books that were selling the best during that period of time had names like Twilight and True Blood. Who is writing in your genre? Well, the Pointy Tooth Bloodsuckers had a couple of viable authors in Charlene Harris and Stephanie Myers. Is there a trend I wanted to capitalize on? No, I did not want to write about vampires, but I did pick a trend into ghost hunting, which is a trend in reality TV. So, not necessarily in the book genre, but ghost hunting is a trend in reality TV. So, how can I do it better or differently? Well, I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still writing the book. I've had to rewrite it a couple of times because I keep having better ideas. But what I want to use in this example is that Stephanie Myers definitely brought her own take to the mythology of vampires. So she did it differently. Whether she did it better or not, I will leave you to judge that. I enjoyed her take on the mythology, but I still prefer Lestat or Dracula. And the last question would be track your selling prices. My publisher released Venomous Lives the first go around for $27.99 a book. What did that mean? Well, here I was, an unknown author with a paperback novel for $27.99 in a genre where the paperbacks went anywhere from $7.99 to about $20 for a well-known author. Needless to say, I didn't sell very many copies when I was under that publisher. However, now that I am on Amazon and I have the print on demand option, that is well within that $7.99 to $20 range. And then my Kindle version is within a reasonable range as well. Budgeting. I am not an accountant. I have some bookkeeping background. So I am not going to stand here and venture to tell you what your budget needs to be. I can tell you that you have to be able to at least buy printer ink. So you need to be realistic here because while you can survive on ramen noodles and water, printer ink does cost a lot of money. In my family, we have 2 disabled individuals. My marketing budget is about $100 a month. When we have health emergencies, that budget is what I call a flexible budget. Not that it flexes over $100, but it might flex well under $100. So you need to be realistic with your lifestyle.
Who am I? Who am I?
So another topic that could take an entire presentation. A great reference for brand development is Joe Linsdell's YouTube video, Author Branding and How to Build It. She also has a great blog post on it, and if you Google it, you can find some good blog posts out there. The point to all of this is that when Stephen King or James Patterson releases a book, you know exactly what to expect. Therefore, you need to decide what your brand is so that your readers know what to expect when they hear that another one of your books is coming out. You need to define your audience. So, the first question for that is, what needs do they have? Do they need an escape? Are they looking for more realistic plots and characters? Are they looking for challenges? If it's a nonfiction title, the needs are pretty clear. They need to learn something from what you are writing. The next question is, how will your book affect them? Nonfiction will help them to learn or understand something. It could bring them closure or an emotional response to something they've gone through. For fiction, the effect has to do with the tone of your book. Paranormal romance would tantalize and mystify the reader. Mysteries and suspense would thrill them. Dramas should bring out emotions. So, you need to look at that. What do you have that others don't? That's a question that you need to decide. It's usually part of your branding. For me, it's very strong characters that even I have a rough time getting rid of when the story is over. Um, that's why I'm leaning to going more towards a series novel at this point, because the standalones, I keep finding minor characters taking on major characters' traits from my other books. And how can you help them? Nonfiction gives knowledge or understanding. Fiction entertains.
Where are they? They're coming, I promise you.
So how do you reach your audience? Well, nowadays the first question is, where do they socialize online? What social media platforms should you be on? I am on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Um, I am on LinkedIn because I can network not only with other authors, but I also network with editors, publishers, cover designers, voice actors for audiobooks, etc., etc. I'm also active on Goodreads. I participate in groups in my genre. I participate in groups with my favorite authors. Fans, this has gotten me some really good book sales and exposures and even a couple of reviews. So, that's a good one to be on. Your young adult audiences are going to be across the spectrum. So, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, Kick, any of the social media apps that are out there, you're going to want to be a part of. Key bloggers in your area. I, for one, am on Maryland romance writers a lot. I also look at another blog about writing, and Joe's. I'm on Joe's blog an awful lot as well. Blogs are being reported as going out of fashion, but I have not seen that in our aspect. So you want to make sure that if you can guest blog somewhere, you can. Local papers. Local means local. It doesn't mean your regional papers or your large papers. So for me, my large paper would be the Baltimore Sun. The regional paper would be the Capital, but we have a publishing company called The Voice, and The Voice does the Severna Park Voice, the Arnold Voice, the Pasadena Voice, and I think the Glen Burnie Voice here in Anne Arundel County. I can usually get an art section ad for cheap if I want it, and an interview if I need to have one as books are released. I can't do that so much with the regional and the large paper. So know who your local papers are. Key places locally: libraries, bookstores, grocery stores, parks, rec centers, etc., etc. Those are all really good places to either place ads or have a presence so that you're out there in your local community. Your community is going to celebrate someone who's famous. I mean, where I am, we have Edward Norton and the Braxtons not far from us in a little place called Columbia, and those towns really promote anything that any of them do because they're very proud of their hometown hero. Podcasts. I personally have not stepped into the genre. I really, really, really want to. So any of you podcasters out there, if you are familiar with podcasts, if you have a friend that does a podcast, if you have a favorite writing podcast that you can try to get on, I highly recommend that, especially for those of you that are trying to reach the millennials and the linksters. Speaking engagements, these can be done at a lot of the other places that we are talking about here, your key places locally, conventions, podcasts, YouTube videos, all of that stuff is a speaking engagement. For those of you who don't like to speak live in front of a studio audience, you can certainly do something like this where you're behind the cameras doing a YouTube video slash PowerPoint. Your voice is being heard, you're sharing your knowledge, but you're not facing a whole bunch of people that will make you nervous. Conventions. Book conventions are great. My niece goes to every single one. She's very, very excited to get her autographs on her books. Usually, if you're there, the people that are there think you are a lot more famous than you really are. So if they meet you and they like you and they like your brand and they like your book, then they'll go out and find other things that you have written. So conventions are really important. Unfortunately, my writing community here in Maryland suffered a really big loss, so I just want to put in a shameless plug here and say, Mid-Atlantic Writers Convention, please come back. I will watch for you. I miss you. Um, Also, for sci-fi fantasy writers, don't discount your local Comic-Cons. I participate a lot in the Comic-Cons. I enjoy them very, very much. I go there in costume. My daughter goes there in costume, and we have a lot of folks that I know that write sci-fi and fantasy that have a lot of success at Comic-Con because Comic-Cons people are going to find new comics, they're going to find new characters, they're going to find new things to read. And so standing there as an author with new characters, new plots, and new things to read means you're going to be really successful with an audience that's very targeted and very um, clicky. So reviews. I did reviews. I did reviews for a long time. It got me some response, but the biggest thing that I learned is to remember other authors are also quote unquote starving artists. So I had to branch out and start trying to get book reviews from professional reviewers, from book clubs, or even just getting them from my friends on Goodread or Amazon. Um, you can expect to get reviews without offering free copies to the reviewers. There's no reviewer on the face of the planet that's going to buy a copy of your book to read it. So if you want a review as part of your marketing plan and to reach your audience, then you have to be prepared to give out free copies. Amazon does offer a promo copy program. I know that my publisher allowed me to purchase promo copies at a very discounted rate when I had a publisher. And I did that a lot. Book trailers. Book trailers is something that I am really getting into. It's starting to be a growing trend. It kind of started with like James Patterson, Tom Clancy, Stephen King, those kind of authors, having advertisements out there on the radio, on TV, etc. Um, it's a to be or not to be question. It's up to you and your brands. Your sci-fi, fantasy, horror novelists, I can't imagine you guys getting away with not having a book trailer these days, especially with the audience that you have. And you can't argue that James Patterson, Stephen King, and Tom Clancy didn't make a huge impact with their book trailers. So just to give you a little bit of an example, for those of you who don't know what a book trailer is, I'm going to go ahead and show you one from one of my favorite authors, Heather Graham, and then I'll meet you on the other side. So we're back again, and we've reached the end of the presentation. I know. But just remember the 5 steps. Set your goals using the SMART model. Know your market and competition. Set your budget and stay with it. Know how you want to be seen to be. Know who you are marketing to and design your plan around them. And finally, know where to find your peeps. I really hope you have enjoyed this presentation. I did try to bring a bit of my quirky self into it to try to give you an introduction to my brand. Until we meet again, remember, to walk without dreams is to walk blind.